Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Feel free to write to me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any question regarding to this video or any other videos that I have made in the past. A recent viewer asked me, what is the difference between chow mein and lo mein? Well, the difference actually can be traced to its name. When you think about chow mein, the word chow means fry. Lo, it just simply means mix. Now, of course, first of all, you got to have some noodles. And I am not just particularly sticky about using Chinese noodle. I use whatever there's on hand. And that's, I think, what most people cook. If you just use what is on hand, it makes cooking much simpler. And of course, pasta noodles is always available, particularly if you do not live in a major city that has a lot of Asian grocery stores. Now, pasta noodles turn out to be really good for almost any type of noodle dish. And in the past, I discovered that when you have pasta noodles, not only you can store them, but it can be used for many different type of noodle dish. Now, in this case, it's a lo mein. Now, when I make a lo mein, what I did is that I take some noodles from the refrigerator. Usually, I always have some pasta noodles there, and I just simply put it onto a plate. And I usually either microwave it or let it dry. And I add a little bit of my Wok with Tak basic seasoning mix right over it. And this is followed by some soy sauce. Now, all of this is kind of give the flavor to the noodles. Now, I'm going to tell you what are the different strategy I'm going to take. And then I'm also going to add a touch of oyster sauce. Okay, now I think I pretty much got what I want the noodles going to be. So I used a pair of tongs, and by now the noodles pretty much are cool to the temperature that allow me to easily separate them. Now all of this is because I have advanced prepping. I have the noodles already in my refrigerator, and also I have some scallion in my refrigerator. Again, this is a good example, is that a lot of us, we cook whatever that's available, but at the same time, we also determine the flavor we want. Next, I add just a drop of sesame oil. And this sesame oil has a hot oil in it. So I need to be very careful because that could be really spicy. Okay, that's it. That is what I would call a lo mein. However, a lo mein always go with some other type of as well. And I'm going to cook a separate dish. I'm going to use some chicken. Now again, this is where advanced prepping really comes in. And by knowing what you have, you can make the type of dishes based on the availability. Now I always have some chicken. And I can chicken have anytime I want. Partly because I freeze my chicken in such a way that it can be thawed out in about 10 minutes in a bowl of warm water. Now I'm going to coat this chicken with a little bit of my Wok with Tak basic seasoning mix. I use that so much because it's a very good seasoning mix. And then I'm going to add just a touch sugar, not very much. And the sugar is going to cause caramelization of the chicken. And this is followed by about 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. This is very lightly coated, but it makes a big difference. And like many cooking situations, small change can result in significant differences of the outcome. Okay, the next thing I need is that I need some zucchini. Now, here I just demonstrate to you how I cut the zucchini for the purpose of demonstration. But I already have the zucchini in my advanced prepping, so all I need to do is to look for it. Now, the interesting thing about how I cut the zucchini is that I cut the zucchini like I'm sharpening a pencil. And the reason is that I want to generate irregular shape, but the dimension of them should be about the same. Now, it is the evenness of the dimension that will allow everything is going to cook about the same way. But however, you can always change the dimension a little bit to make it more interesting. And this is also something about advanced prepping. Once you become good at it, you start to realize that when you change things slightly differently, how you cut them, they can make significant difference to the appearance of a dish. And of course, appearance plays an equally important role as flavor and aroma. Okay, now I'm going to cook this dish in my Cuisinart 14-inch stainless steel wok. Now the approach I take is that I call it shallow frying, just a term that I use, because in many ways this is very much like deep frying, and the definition of deep frying is that you have your ingredients to be coated with something like either cornstarch or wheat flour to create a breading. Now in this case, I coated it with a very light coating of cornstarch, so basically it is like frying, except I fry it in a small amount of oil on a frying pan, or in this case it's the wok. And this is one thing I really like about this wok, is that it behaves like a frying pan if I want to be, because it has a relatively large flat surface area, which is about 7.5 inches across, and make it almost like a small frying pan. And so, as you can see, if you have the right wok, it can do so many different things for you, and in this case, this wok is serving as a frying pan. In fact, this wok is well known as other woks similar to this. They call it a wok pan. Now, what I'm doing here now is that I'm going to fry one side of the chicken first and then flip it over to fry the other side. Now, this method is very different from other type because you actually pan fry the chicken first before you stir fry it. Now, this is a good example is that how you combine different cooking techniques together. Now, this is why I said stir frying is such a flexible as well as effective cooking technique. It will allow you to make a lot of changes. It will allow you to adapt it to different approach you want to take. So as you can see, the cornstarch, the basic seasoning mix, as well as the sugar actually done a great job in charring the chicken. If you look at the chicken, other people will say, oh, you must have grilled the chicken, but you don't. Because using this approach, you can cause this charring. Now, if you don't, you can fry it, but it will not look like this. So in here, it shows you how small changes can result in significant difference. Okay, now the chicken is almost done. As you can see, it is very fast to cook the chicken because I had cut them into thin slices, and this is the advantage of how you manipulate the ingredients that allow you to cook them in such a particular way. And again, stir frying might be simple, but it actually has a lot of potential, many things that you can do. Okay, now at the zucchini. Now you notice that I add the zucchini at the end towards the cooking process. In this case, anything that you can cook very quickly, you add toward the end. Because one thing you can do with stir frying is that you can cook multiple ingredients together, but you can still able to control their texture, so everything cooked to about the same doneness as that you would like to. The items that cook longer, you give them a first start. Okay, now I add just a touch of cooking oil to make sure that things do not get burned. Right now, I am actually have the heat turned all the way up to high because as long as I keep things moving in the wok, as long as I keep stirring, I don't have to worry about things getting burned. However, once you stop stirring, then things will get burned. Then in this case, for whatever reason you want to stop, maybe you want to find a sauce, or maybe you want to find some seasoning, then in this case, it is important that you turn the heat down. Now, as you can see, the zucchini actually cook really fast. And you also notice that I am really busy with my wok spatula. I keep moving everything. In here, I use the wok spatula to do two things. One is that I move the food ingredient around. The second one is that I use the wok spatula to undergo a turning motion. Basically, I am tossing the ingredients in the wok. And this tossing is actually quite important because this will allow you to mix the ingredient faster. Now, in commercial restaurant, they actually toss the food by using the wok and shake it. But in the home kitchen, a wok spatula will do an excellent job as what you would like it to be. Okay, now I'm going to season the dish. I'm going to start out with oyster sauce, and I love oyster sauce because of simplicity. And oyster sauce, to me, because it has almost anything I want. You notice that I do not use garlic or onion in the beginning of the cooking session because the oyster sauce already contains many of those ingredients that you normally extracted from garlic or scallion or ginger. Now, this is the part of the cooking process which I turned down the heat to almost completely. What I did is that I add a cornstarch water suspension. I have 1 part of cornstarch to 2 parts of water. You notice that the cornstarch water suspension thickens almost immediately. In order to modulate that, I add water directly to the wok. I use actually hot boiling water because that will allow me to cook everything faster. One thing that is wonderful about cornstarch water suspension to make a gravy is that you can easily dilute them to the consistency that you want. Now, of course, every time when you add fluid, you're going to change the flavor. So I did a taste test and I add a little bit more oyster sauce. Now, I normally combine oyster sauce and hoisin sauce to create a dish. But in this one, I do not, because I do not want the sweetness to creep into this dish. Now, although oyster sauce is a little bit sweet by itself, but if you add hoisin sauce, it would definitely make it sweeter. Now, as you can see, I create a heavy gravy. And the reason for I creating this heavy gravy is that I want to saturate the lo mein with the sauce. Now, the lo mein is cold, right? But this doesn't matter because my sauce is very hot. So that basically will warm the lo mein up. The traditional lo mein is always do not directly put it into the wok. They make outside of the wok and then you add the sauce over them. Now, somebody said to me, lo mein is it's kind of like a spaghetti meal. And in fact, in many ways, that is true because this will very much like what you will actually eat a spaghetti too. And you have the spaghetti noodles and then you add the spaghetti sauce right over it. So as you can see, this is without any question is a demonstration of my fast cooking system. And with the 4 components of flavor chasing, advanced prepping, stir frying, and template-based cooking, advanced prepping will allow you to have all the ingredients ready so you can put a dish together like this in a matter of minutes. And in this case, it took me about 7 minutes to put this dish together. This is a great dish, but it saves a lot of time. On top of that, I know what I want, so I can adjust the flavor through flavor chasing and cook it exactly the way how I like it. Now, home cooking is all about flexibility, and in some cases, all about try to do something different to both meet what is available to you as well as to create dishes to the flavor that you like. Okay, so keep on cooking, and I will see you tomorrow.